Hello and welcome to the One About Podcast, show where a couple of friends get together to talk about a different topic each week. This week, Spooktober continues with, I'm not going to lie, what I thought was a better movie than it actually ended up being. This is the One About Children of the Corn. I'm your host, Neil Go by Let's Go places around the internet, and I'm joined this week, as always, by my man John. John, this week, I want to talk to you about a little game called Metroid Dread.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we touched upon this last week.
We did indeed.
Give me the sauce.
Last week, I was about 2.5 hours into the game.
All right.
And I was less than impressed. I hadn't reached the first major boss yet, it turns out.
Got it. Yep.
Well, I probably, depends on how you count major bosses. I would say yes. I had just beaten the first major boss. And as I noted, I had a lot of concerns. The game was going to be a lot like the 3DS game that I wasn't a big fan of, and other such things. I've finished the game in its entirety.
All right.
That game is fucking great.
All right. That's what I like to hear. Okay.
Yeah. So all of my concerns were cleared up. I don't know if I brought this up last week, but this was something that I kind of felt from the beginning and definitely got worse as the game went on. And that's the whole Emmy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they use the Emmy and like all the branding for this game and all the shit. And essentially there's these robots that roam around certain areas. And I would say they're probably where the name Dread comes from, because they have this like overwhelming sense of dread when you're in one of the Emmy areas. Because if an Emmy catches you, you're basically dead.
There's no way to like take it out. Like it's possible, but it's just really hard.
It's possible to parry their murder stab and escape, but until you get a really specific power up that goes away after you destroy one of them, it is not possible to kill them.
Oh,
so
fuck that. Yeah, that I understand the title now. Yes.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I find these sections extremely annoying. I think they break up the gameplay in a way that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, some of them, especially late game, get really tedious and just outright frustrating. It's like towards the end of, I don't want to spoil anything. This game's really new.
Okay.
But what I will say is there's a point where I was having a ton of fun with this game. And then I get back into an Emmy zone and I'm like, fuck shit.
It just totally sucked the fun out of it.
It really does, because like it's extremely difficult to get away from them at that point. And like I said, they're probably going to kill it. Like, it's at the point where even if you do manage to parry them, you're probably going to get caught again and die anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Excellent.
And
an exercise in futility.
Yeah. And for like the sake of posterity, I guess, when I say it's possible to parry them, you have what I believe I read is like an 8-frame window to parry them that randomly changes between different animations within the same animations.
Nope.
So basically you just have to predict which animation you're going to get and then time it right to parry it.
What you just told me is you have to get an innate feel for their ki to read their attack. So you're just basically an anime protagonist right now trying to learn a new skill.
I mean, yes, but also no. Because like if it was just a matter of like, oh, they could randomly choose one of their 4 cycles, that would be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But within those cycles, they can randomly change the timing on the parry too. And there's no like rhyme or reason that anybody's discovered yet that I'm aware of.
Oh, no, the developers wanted to fuck you. That's the rhyme or reason. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly the point. And so the fact that some of these are extremely difficult to get away from, I found frustrating more than I found it like suspenseful and fun.
Yeah.
Now, Dread is a direct sequel to Metroid Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a similar mechanic in that game where you have to run away from this thing called an SAX, which is Samus Aran possessed by an X parasite, Sax.
Sax.
The Bill Clinton bot, if you will. And I think it's extremely well done in that game. But yeah, it just wasn't feeling it in this game. But I will say that, I mean, it didn't take away from it enough that I would give it a bad review. I still think it's great.
Okay, all right, cool. That's great to hear.
I would recommend it if you haven't played any Metroid games before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, I mean, really, at this point, if you haven't played any Metroid games before, all of them are super accessible in one way or another. So I would probably just start from scratch. There's only 5, and they're not super long.
Okay, I can do that.
But yeah, I would give them a shot. I love Metroid, so I was really hoping that I would like this game, and I was really kind of downtrodden last week when I was like, I don't like
it. Was this giving you the semblance of like it's I'm gonna hate this game at the end?
Yeah. But they nailed a lot of the things that I was concerned about from the 3DS game. Like, I should look it up. I think Mercury Steam, the team that made Metroid Dread and the 3DS game,
yeah,
they're a Spanish studio. I think they made so they made this game called Clive Barker's Jericho that I played on the Xbox 360. That game fucking sucks. I feel like Clive Barker has become a running theme of this Spooktober. And I played that game on 360 because I'm a Clive Barker fan. I didn't know anything about the game. I was just like, Clive Barker's name's on it. Let's go.
Let's go for it.
Yeah,
why not?
Woof.
Woof.
Yeah. The thing about Jericho is it's not bad. It's aggressively mediocre. And so by the end of it,
I'd rather it be terrible than aggressively mediocre.
I know.
Like, let's put it like that. Like, if it's a terrible game, like, I can have fun with a terrible game. But if it's like, like, no. Like, terrible game, I'm talking about, like, if it's got, like, really terrible glitches, like, I can have fun with that shit.
Yeah.
Like, really bad animations that make the character, like, spaz out, have fun with that shit. But if it's just mediocre and, like, I can't really, like, do anything to entertain myself while I'm playing with it, nah.
Yeah. So, how do you follow up one of the most aggressively mediocre games of all time?
Mm-hmm.
By completely bastardizing Castlevania. That's how. So they also made the 3 Lords of Shadow games.
Got it.
The 3DS one, ironically, is easily considered not only the worst Lords of Shadow game, but possibly one of the worst Castlevania games ever made.
Oh, that's a feat.
Yeah, it's like, pretty bad.
It's basically like getting a Razzie.
Like, I will say that despite the fact that Lords of Shadow is not a very good Castlevania game, it is a pretty good God of War-like game.
Okay.
And so I still had a lot of fun with that game. I never played the sequel because apparently that one's not very good. Although I own it on Steam, so I should probably just buckle up and play it.
Yeah, you should.
But I mean, like, if I did that, then the only game of theirs that I wouldn't have played is some game called Space Lords. Don't know what the fuck that game is. So,
I mean, it sounds interesting.
It kind of does, but it's Mercury Steam, so
iffy.
So yeah, Mercury Steam and me have a lot of history, as it turns out, but not a lot of it's very good. But I think with Metroid Dread, they finally kind of nailed it. Metroid Dread, like the music is good. I don't think the music is like going to stick with you like some Metroid games, and certainly like not like some Castlevania games.
Yeah.
But it's good. It delivers atmosphere in a lot of good ways. The gameplay feels good. It feels tight. The upgrade tree is interesting. They definitely broke from convention for Metroid games in a lot of interesting ways. Some ways that kind of fuck with the timeline in ways that I'm confused about. I'm not going to say
retconning the timeline. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's not a retcon, but I think they're playing fast and loose with the lore. So I'm just gonna let that one go.
Okay, all right.
And the bosses are fucking great. Now,
See, that's what you need to nail. I feel when it comes to like making standalone titles or titles a part of a franchise. Like if you nail the boss fights, most of the stuff, in my opinion, you could throw to the wayside and be fine. Like it could be mediocre, but if those boss fights are fucking fire, everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, I like that fucking. Like I will say, playing Demon Souls is a grind, which to me, I love grind games. But those boss fights, fuck, got my heart pumping. You were watching me in a couple of those, but dude, they're fucking fire. I love those boss fights. Like, it's euphoric. And I feel if you nail that part of your game, platformer or whatever or otherwise, like if you nail that part of your game and make those boss fights the centerpiece, the anchor point of your development for the whole game, I feel like you're gonna have a great title, no matter everything else. Like even the storyline could be shit. If those boss fights are hype as fuck, great music, great mechanics, got your heart pumping and like exceedingly exciting, dude, got a banger of a title.
I think that might be giving it a little too much credit, but I understand your meaning. The boss fights are certainly super important. Now, this is what I would say. There's been a lot of conversation since Metroid Dread came out about how the game is very difficult. I'm just going to go on record.
Okay.
And say this game is not hard. Like, straight up, anybody who says that this game is super difficult is a little bitch.
Wow.
And I say that as somebody who, frankly, is just not super great at video games in general.
I don't know about that. I feel like, and don't like get a big head about this, but like you have a great aptitude for adjusting to a lot of different game types and difficulties. I've noticed that.
Here's my thing. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I stand by what I said because I'm only decent at a game if I care to be. And most games, like, I'm not willing to put in the effort to get good at it. That said, there are a couple of boss fights in Metroid Dread that killed me a few times. Okay. But frankly, like, if you just pay attention and you're willing to learn the boss patterns, it's not that hard.
All right. But like, that's what I mean. Like, not a lot of people have an eye for that in general.
I mean,
it's okay to pat yourself on the back, my friend.
But here's the thing. Like, the only boss move in the entire game that I was like really struggling to figure out is on the final boss.
Oh.
And once you figure out something about that final boss fight and what he's doing, the boss becomes almost comically easy.
Jesus.
So, like, the game is just not hard.
Okay.
Like, if you're trying to brute force your way through it and, like, you're just spamming missiles at the boss and praying that they die before you do. Okay, yeah, the game's probably going to be pretty fucking hard. Yeah, you're going to have a real bad time. You're French frying when you should have pizza. But I mean, like, if you just take your time and you figure out what the boss is doing, what they're going to do, and you realize that as the splash screens will tell you over and over again when you die, every move in the game is avoidable. So, like,
that's just like pouring salt in the wound. It's like, yeah, you died, but I'm just letting you know we made this to where it should be easy. You're just terrible.
Kind of, but it's also like, I mean, just pay attention and you can do this. Like, it's not impossible. It's not a matter, frankly, it's not even really a matter of getting good. It's just paying attention and learning what you need to do,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do it. Some of the
Okay.
bosses are even just straight up easy. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, like, some of them are
Fucking
easy.
child's play. All right, cool.
If you want to look into it and you want to be adventurous, there are ways to skip to get items early to make the game even easier still. Like, this game is just like, it's one of those ones where if you want to, you can make it super easy. You can skip ahead,
Mm-hmm.
and getting those skips is gonna be hard. But
that's the reason why they're skips.
right, like, they're not the intended path, but they are intentional. Like, a lot of Metroidvania skips are like things that the developer didn't intend, but gamers find. These are very intentional.
Yeah, like I'll say this, like what you're saying is comparable to Demon Souls. Like I didn't find this out until I was basically done with my first run through. But if you focus on it, there's a way that you can take out, not arguably, but definitely the strongest NPC in the game and get the best gear in the game, like in the first area. It's gonna take you some trial and error, and you're gonna have to cheese the fuck out of it. I'm talking about Gorgonzola wheel the size of the Eiffel Tower, but it's doable, and the fruits of your labor are immense. So
We need to
I
talk about
understand
a
what
couple
you're
of things offline.
saying. Like, dude, when I say like I beat this dude after my first run through, this means I had really good gear, really good items, and it still took me 4 hours. It took me 4 hours to get the pattern down and not fuck up. He's that strong. Like he's strong to the point that if you fuck up one time on any part of your setup of your run through, one time you die and you have to do it all over again. Like that's just how it is. And I love that. That's like the best thing ever.
John, you know what I love?
What?
This little show called The Good Place.
Oh my
So,
god. Oh man.
I was talking to you a little bit about this before the show, and I started watching the IT Crowd.
Yeah.
And the IT Crowd, first of all,
Okay.
the premise is good.
Yes.
And I was definitely laughing while I was watching it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, man, this show has the vibes of something that was made in like the 70s on a shoestring fucking budget.
Yeah, and I'll admit that, but the thing is like what I loved about the IT Crowd is like for one, it like basically was going through the motions of like my daily job, and
Right.
the way that I talk about it is funny as fuck. And then later on it branches out from that. And I can relate to the characters, and it was just funny to me. Like, yeah, it was kind of corny, but just the situations they're in were like plausible, but still hilarious. Like, you said you watched 5 episodes, but I don't know if there was a one episode where they went to the movies, and the dude went to the bathroom, and it was a handicap stall, and he was like, "I really needed to go. All the other stalls were taken, so I went to this handicap stall." So when he's leaving, there's like a group of people that are like part of a wheelchair, like handicap people group. And he didn't want to be like, oh shit, I used the handicap stall when there's all these handicapped people waiting to use the bathroom. I'm going to act like I'm handicapped. So he ends up getting trapped on the bus where they're taking him back to whatever home that they live in. And it's just hilarious. Like, I love the IT Crowd. It might not be for everybody because it's corny. It's corny comedy. But it's still thoughtful corny comedy. And then it hits another level when the son of the CEO enters the equation. Like right now, I believe you're only dealing with the three, which is Moss, the IT dude, and the chick who got basically sent down to the dungeon dredges.
Yep.
But once the son of the CEO comes into the equation, it takes it to a whole nother level. But yeah, I fucking love it.
It definitely has the vibes of a show that was written for a very specific audience. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But because I'm not necessarily that audience, like I ostensibly I work like an IT like job, right?
Yeah.
But not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a lot of it's funny to me. Like, I mean, the very first scene of the very first episode, right? Somebody's calling into IT and he's just sitting there watching it, drinks some coffee, eats a donut, and finally she's like, God damn it, I gotta answer this motherfucker.
It's like, I have to answer it.
They wouldn't just give up because I wasn't answering. And it's funny because, like, I had to call into one of our internal support lines today, and they didn't fucking answer. I'm like, I bet you they're just sitting there fucking just looking at that phone.
No, and I'll honestly, I'll tell you straight up, like when you're the IT guy that handles basically everything, like, you know, the email passwords, like server access, all that kind of stuff, you get blasted night and day for what I call ticky-tack bullshit. Like, it's like, oh, it told me to update my password like for a week straight and I didn't do it, so now it locked me out. Can you reset my password? I was like, why didn't you just listen to it and just change your password? Or I forgot my password to such and such. Can you reset it? And I was like, well, why didn't you save your password? Like, your browser has the ability to save your password. What's going on here? And it's that type of shit. Or my camera's not working. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what's on your camera. Why did you not allow the permissions for your camera in the browser? I feel like if you want to use your camera in the browser, you should allow the permissions for the camera in your browser. That's just how. But it's that shit. But it's throughout the day, consistently. So like, I'm literally like, there's points in time where it's just like, I don't want to answer it because it's just going to be stupid people. I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it.
And I mean, like I said, ostensibly my job is the exact same thing. The things that people ask me are a little bit more complicated than that. Generally, not always. I get the motherfuckers like, can you reset my password? I'm like, but to the same time, even the ones that are more complicated, like you get asked the same fucking question 600 times. And I'm like,
yeah, exactly. And the best part, like, honestly, I think the IT crowd is like the strongest, probably one of the strongest opening episodes in a lot of sitcoms that I've seen. Especially like with all the points that it hits. It's like when he finally answers the phone, is like, oh, your internet's on. Did you turn it off and on again? I was like, that's literally what we do. It's like that's the first thing you do, and 90% of the time it fixes the problem.
Dude, I was fucking rolling when they went to bitch to their boss, and he's just sitting there like, what's that? You're not working as a team. Whole team is fired. We only work in teamwork around here. In fact, I just love that word, team. Team. So what's going on, my team. IT team?
And they're just like,
nothing.
It's fucking
like,
great, dude.
I feel like everybody has had a boss like that before. Like, that shit had me fucking dying, dude.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like the show is good, but it misses my demographic just a little bit, and just enough that I'm like, plus it's some fucking basement ass bullshit, and I'm like,
you talking about the production quality? I mean, that's fine.
Like, I'm not giving up on it. I just don't love it yet.
That's fine.
We'll see. Mm-hmm. On the other hand,
yeah.
The Good Place sold itself to me in like 5 fucking minutes. Like, I was all about this shit.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And dude, I'm telling you right now, it literally only gets better.
I am sitting here though, and I'm like, where does it go from here? Like, I don't see where the show is going, and maybe that's a good thing. Like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but most shows, like, you get a sense of where they're going. Like the IT Crowd, you know exactly what that show is after one fucking episode. It's super clear what the entire show is.
Yeah.
This one, not so much.
Oh, dude.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes. So,
okay.
But I already have a theory about something.
Okay.
And about one of the other characters in the show specifically. And I'm watching it, I'm like, where? I don't know what the plot, because this show has 4 seasons.
4 seasons.
And I'm like, how do you drag this plot out for like 48 episodes?
I'm trying to tell you that's what makes this show so good. First of all, this show hit the marker on the money, because most shows, depending on their content or how they're handled, are only good for like the first 4 to 5 seasons. The 5th season's sketchy. After that, they're usually rehashing bullshit, fucking up the character development arcs, and they're just driving this show into the dirt just for money's sake.
Generally, I would agree with that, yeah.
That's why I love this. But what I'm trying to tell you is all of those 4 seasons, quality fucking content. None of them are sleepers. On top of the fact, they're not just funny, they're insightful, they're intellectual. They tackle some of the biggest theoretical questions about the afterlife, religion, our sense of self. Like, it's insane how good that show is. And it's basically a comedy sitcom. And I'm telling you, it gets better from that point. All the different plot devices and everything that they introduce only make the show better. It doesn't make it weaker. On top of the characters that they introduce are like strong comedic characters that have, what's the word I'm looking for? They have range. They have acting range to where they can be comedic and thoughtful, and they can be like heartfelt. Like, it's so good. And it even ended great, which I was surprised about. Like, the way that show ended, I was just like, I didn't imagine that a show could end basically perfectly with the content that it was tackling.
I just have 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Force. Dude, when Michael goes on his little fucking spiel about Doug Force, I was like, what?
Dude.
When every religion got about 5% right, Doug Force, fucking stoner from Calgary, got it 92%
Dude, I'm
right.
telling you, it's fucking great. It's so good. And I'm telling you're literally at the tip of the iceberg. You're right here. It's gonna create conversations between you and all of your friends. It's that good. And it's still hella entertaining.
Let's see. There's only one thing that we can do, obviously. Check Rotten Tomatoes. Season 1, 92%.
Yep.
Okay, all right. That's a high bar. Sounds like I can expect nothing but good things. Season 2, 100%.
Yep.
Season 3, 98%.
Trying to tell you.
Season 4, 100%. Dude, that's so good. This is like the highest rated show I've ever seen.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, dude. Like, the hype is real with this one.
Man, that is unbelievable.
It's fucking insane, right? And like
Nothing
that,
below 92%.
and like that's what I mean. I was like, and like I was watching it, and I was like, watched it up to the end of season 3, and I'm like, damn, that was good. I can't wait till the next season come out. Season 4 came out, bro. I left my wife sleeping in the bed and went downstairs, and I just binged the whole season in like 2 nights.
Is this show over? Like it's over?
Yes, it's over, has a finite ending, and it is immaculate. A masterpiece.
All right. Well, we will definitely continue this conversation, I am sure, as I continue
Damn right
down this.
you will.
The only thing that I have to say before we wrap up on The Good Place and move on to what should prove to be a very interesting conversation is fuck Tahani, man. That
Fuck
bitch.
Tahani?
That bitch.
You want it? God, I'm trying to fuck. I don't want to give anything away, but again, on top of everything I said, some of the best character development throughout the show that I've seen.
Can't wait.
And I'm also in Vietnam.
Cannot wait. Speaking of character development, let's talk about a movie that has none. Children of the Corn.
Fuck.
I legitimately remember this movie being a lot of fun. This movie's fucking awesome.
Dude. No. Don't you fucking do that.
No.
No. Like, we're not even gonna fake the funk with that bullshit. We're not even gonna play like this movie's fucking awesome. Like, so what I actually just remembered is the Children of the Corn that I found interesting was probably like, I think like one of the 3rd or 4th films. Like where they started getting psychic powers and there were like twins born and they murdered their parents with telepathy. Yeah.
No, not that.
Yeah.
I looked up the Rotten Tomatoes. Dude, this might be the worst film franchise ratings I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're fucking bad.
Holy shit.
But like the fact that they made, how many movies did they make in total for this franchise? Like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
That's way too fucking many for what I'm pretty sure was a flop when it came out. Like this movie was bad.
Dude, that's way too many for a franchise that as a whole has the best rated movie is a 33%.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That is the best rating in the entire franchise.
This movie isn't even bad enough to be funny to watch. That's how bad this movie is.
This movie plays it 100% straight.
Yeah, and like the effects work is just god awful in every way, shape, and sense of the form. Like the blood is literally red paint, which everybody knows you use either chocolate syrup if you're black and white or a corn syrup mixture with food coloring. But they use red paint because they were next to a Lowe's or a Home Depot. I don't know. And I get it. You're basically 90% of your cast is child actors, but you can find good child actors. On top of the fact that you need to find good adult actors that could carry the shit, which they didn't. I mean, I will give him credit for being one of the smarter antagonists in a horror film, but
I mean, hold on.
Okay.
This movie's got Linda Hamilton in it. Like, let's calm down on the bad actors thing.
I said actors. I didn't say actresses.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about the plural of everybody in the movie. Like,
my bad.
She was fine, but that's more in the sense of she was the voice of reason, and he was the asshole, smart aleck dude who had a med degree. who didn't listen to her words of wisdom. You know
You're
what I
not
mean?
wrong. You're not wrong.
Like legit, if he listened to her like one time out of the whole movie, they wouldn't have had any of these problems. They made it out, yeah. But if he would have listened to her, they wouldn't have had any of these problems.
To be fair, he was listening to her at one point, and then he ran over a kid.
Yeah. Dude, they hit old boy going at Mach 10.
Bro, they fucked his ass up, dude.
And then the worst part is like they go back to the body. It's not mangled. There's no broken bones. It's just like
it's totally fine.
And then he's like, "Oh," but I looked at it for half a second. He was slashed in the throat. Oh,
Yeah.
like
I just love how he's just like, "You okay, my boy?" Like, no, he's not okay. The fuck you talking about?
It's like you hit him at light speed, my nigga. Like, fuck.
You were maxing out the speedometer on that motherfucker and just plowed him down.
It's really bad. And like, I think one of the major weak points is they didn't delve into the mythos enough in this movie to have it make sense or like to be a driving factor for any of the protagonists or antagonists.
Okay, so I'm glad that you brought that up because other than the Rotten Tomato ratings that I really want to talk about, this is the other thing that I really want to talk to you. I'm hoping that you can explain this to me. Because I really struggled while I was watching this movie to understand what the fuck was going on.
Gotcha.
So we opened the movie 3 years ago, right?
Yes.
And this little bitch Isaac shows up in the window of this coffee shop. And then all the mean mugs one of these kids. And then all the kids just go on a rampage and kill all the adults. Fucking poison the coffee. By the way, what kind of sick motherfucker poisons the coffee?
Yeah. And like, dude, the look that he gave him, like he was like this. And then Malachi just like this. Just, it's like, it's time. Like,
execute order 66.
Basically. And like, I like the fact that they had like Isaac, who's like the devout believer and leader, like preacher who follows like whatever voice he hears in his head from he who hides behind the rose, which, to be fair, is a pretty kick-ass name for like this unseen entity that's making these children kill their parents. Whatever. And then Malachi is just like basically the right hand, the angel of death for their cult or whatever. Like everybody fears Malachi. Is like, oh wait, get Isaac. No, send Malachi. Oh yeah, you gonna get his ass beat by Malachi. And I'm just like,
I mean, I'm just gonna throw this out there. My boy Burton was not afraid of Malachi.
Oh, dude, I love the fact
the fuck out of that boy, dude.
He was holding his other arm. He's just like, you ain't nothing but a bitch. Just slapping the shit out of him. Like, that's the most disrespectful ass shit you ever. Like, he could have strained himself and used his dominant right hand. It's like, no, he was pimp slapping him with his left hand consecutive times. Like, that was great. He's just showing you, I was like, bro, you ain't shit to me. Like, I am wounded as hell. I'm not even using my other hand, and I'm just making you my bitch. I'm calling you Sally.
Dude, that was
your
my
new
thing
name
too.
is Sally.
That was my thing too. I was like, how did this town get overrun by children, bro? Like, this is some scrawny ass motherfucker from 1984, and he still whooped their ass.
Yeah, I will say, the surprise attack on the diner, I can understand how everybody got taken out, but like all these parents and stuff, because evidently it was a coordinated attack throughout the whole town. Like, all the kids basically murder their parents, which I don't know how they got the orders. It's just like Isaac had everybody together. It's like, look, this is what's gonna happen at 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock sharp after church, y'all gonna murder your parents. What? We're gonna murder our parents? Why would we do that? No, just do it. He who hides it behind the rose, he says it's the thing to do. Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. Like,
Seems legit.
it only took like, it would only take like one or two of the children to be like, nah, I'm not down. I'm not about that life. And I just didn't understand that. But like, I guess they went through with it. I guess Isaac poisoned, like tainted the Kool-Aid that they were drinking. But I know after the initial coordinated attack, there were some adults that were alive, like the man in blue. I will say this: I do like the names that they be given, like uh, pivotal characters in the story.
Those
Like,
like
other than
old
that, like, it's
timey
just,
fucking
yeah,
generic names and shit.
yeah, it's just, but it's still like hogwash.
Yeah.
But like the fact, like, oh, they got a clue of how to take out the he who hides behind the rose from like what the man in blue was doing before he died. Still, I don't get how Malachi took him out. It's probably in the prequel, terrible um, Children of the Corn prequel that we were talking about earlier. I might watch it just for context.
Wait, what prequel? We were talking
Remember when
about
we
prequel?
looked at it? Children of the Corn, the 1984 movie is titled Children of the Corn, and then they made one in, I think it was 2012. Was the remake, was we thought was a remake, but it was actually a prequel. Children of the Corn 1984. And then there was another one.
Oh, that brand new. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was actually made in 2020, which makes it worse. And
Yeah.
it was supposedly like a prequel.
Actually, I don't think that one's on this list. Let me see what that one's got. Children of the Corn 2020,
You don't want to
2018.
see that.
Children of the. Oh,
You don't.
bro, it's not even on Rotten Tomatoes. They're just like, nah, son.
Dude, we went over it. It made $1,000 in the box office.
Oh yeah.
$1,000. I can go on the street corner and sell my ass for more than that in a week. Okay?
1,025.
Right? Like, what the fuck? Like, it was bad, real bad. And the fact that it was made in 2020, like, I don't know how they got greenlit to make so many of these movies.
Oh, see, that makes a lot more sense.
What?
The film was released in 2 theaters in October of 2020. So, like, I mean, you only released in 2 theaters.
Even if you release it in,
$1,000.
dude, even if you release it in 2 theaters, like, what? Let's say, what's the average seating capacity in a theater?
I don't fucking know.
Fuck it, we're gonna lowball it and say 20. All right, we get 20 people in a theater. We're gonna say what, $8 a head? That seems reasonable.
Yeah, that seems fair.
How many showtimes you got a day? Like, we're gonna say 6 showtimes in a day, right? Let's say,
really, you're going at this way too hard. Like, you really just do 10.25 at $8 a head. You're looking at like what, 130 people?
like, right now, I'm
Total?
getting, if you get like a full seating of a 20 seat theater, which is really lowballing it, that's already $160. So you need only 10 showings of 20 people or more to get more than what they brought back in the box office. I don't care if it's 2 theaters. Like, how long was it in those theaters? Because if it was in those theaters for more than a week, that is atrocious. Period.
I mean, honestly, if it was in those 2 theaters for a week, that's still pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, but you can still make more than $1,000 in a week. Because, again, lowballing like whatever theater they're in, I think 20 is really, really low. I think like it's usually around like 50.
I think that might have been like a limited showing because it has a full release date of 2022.
Okay. I mean, ain't nobody gonna see it.
So
It's garbage.
it might have been an advanced screening type of thing where they were giving
Maybe.
feedback and shit like that.
But I mean, it's got ratings and everything on it. Like on IMDb, it's 4.3 out of 10. So
That would make it the best rated movie in the franchise, for whatever that's worth.
it's not worth a lot. I'm still trying to figure out how Malachi kept everybody in line. Like I understand how Isaac did it. He did it through like as being a religious zealot. But Malachi was a bitch, straight up. Why was Malachi's like the enforcer and strong arm, and how old was he? Because evidently, when you're 19, you're supposed to give yourself up to he who hides behind the rose.
Yeah. So, again, circling back here.
Yep.
Can you explain to me what the fuck the plot of this movie is? Because my takeaway was there's this kid, Isaac,
Yep.
that orchestrated the murder of every adult in the town.
Yep. Right so far.
And then's running this like weird ass fucking church group of murdering ass kids.
Gotcha.
That pray to what we find out later is this like demonic presence or whatever in the cornfield.
Yeah.
That, as far as I know, isn't explained.
Yep.
And yes.
Yeah, you basically hit the nail on the head. That's it. That's all.
Okay, so we don't know shit about what's going
like
on. Like
literally, they didn't explain nothing. Like the fact that Sarah had the gift of sight, and like that's the only reason why they didn't just murder her and Joby.
Yeah, like did Isaac really talk to the one behind the rose or whatever? Like, I don't know. Like,
it's never really explained. Like the fact that he gets murdered by it is like possessed, murdered, tomato. Like that motherfucker got blown up 25 feet while he was on a corn cross. Okay.
And then comes back looking totally fine, just a little bit more like that
like
bitch
a little bloody,
comes out looking like he just had a run in with the Exorcist and shit. Like,
exactly. And then talking to Malachi, he wants you too.
For what? Like, what is this motherfucker's motivation? Is this like demon eating up adults and shit? Why adults? Why not children? Don't demons like the innocent? Isn't that their whole jive? Like,
yeah,
what goes on in this thing?
They didn't explain anything. It's just like, oh, we got murderous children. That's all you need. I was like, no, we kind of need more than that. Especially when
fairness.
Yeah.
In 1980, what, 4?
This
movie came out?
84. 1984.
This movie was like shocking. It's like, oh, look at the kid. He ran over a child. Oh my God, the kids are killing parents. In 2021, not so much.
I mean, I get that, but even like looking back in 1984, like, oh, that's whatever. It's not like parents went home and they just like instantly started beating their children. Why are you beating me? I saw Children of the Corn. I know what you're planning. Like, it wasn't on that level, but like what Return of the Living Dead was what, 1987? 86. So 2 years after, and like that shit is nightmare fuel. That's amazing. That's a great concept. And like honestly, like children being demonic and having a cult, I will admit that. Like if the children like had a leader who came up with a plan to murder all the adults, I will say this: they have a 98% chance of victory of killing all the adults if they actually like had a plan together. Because none of the adults, first of all, none of the parents are going to think like, oh, the child is out to hurt me or kill me. And none of the parents are going to be like, oh, I need to stop my child with like everything I possibly am, like with full force. They're not going to do that. They're going to be hesitant at a lot of different steps in that fight. On top of the fact, we're not even talking about them coming at them with like knives. They could just poison like daddy's coffee or daddy's beer.
Poison daddy's coffee.
Poison mommy's oatmeal smoothie that she drinks every morning. Like, you know what I mean?
If like my son tries to poison my coffee, that little motherfucker's gonna get bitch slapped way worse than this kid.
But I'm saying, like, you wouldn't expect it, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, it is the after watching this movie, it's just watching him as he sleeps.
Prepared.
It's like, I got you now, motherfucker. But
you thought,
like, realistically, no parent would be prepared for their child to just do Order 66 on them. Like, that's what I mean. And even after realizing this child is out to murder me, they'll still be hesitant to take out their own child. So it is the perfect horror plot-driven device to put that thought in your head and, like, freak you out. But it was just, again, it was executed poorly.
Yeah.
Because, like, we didn't know their motivations. The effects were terrible. And it just doesn't seem right that all these children would be just down with killing their parents. It just doesn't seem right. Unless they all had really shitty childhoods, it just doesn't seem feasible. Now, if they basically all heard the voice of he who hides behind the rose, that would make more sense. If they were all psychically linked and Isaac was just an overpowering dominant force in that hive mind, that would make more sense. But Isaac just going around, it's like, the adults don't let you do what you want to do, so we should just murder him. Everybody's like, yeah, let's fucking do it, yeah! Not feasible.
So, let's talk about the elephant in the room for a second.
Yep.
Children of the Corn is based on a Stephen King story.
Yes.
Stephen King stories are, let's be generous.
Okay.
Usually complete dog shit.
Wow, that's generous. Okay. Fuck.
Okay, I mean, let's do an exercise, shall we?
Okay.
Movies based on Stephen King.
See, I feel that's...
So this is what we're gonna do.
I feel like
I'm not gonna look
ahead.
up ratings. I'm not gonna look for something to, like, rank them. Just a legitimate list of stuff that's based on Stephen King. So I'm gonna list out these movies.
Okay.
And you tell me, A, if you've seen it, and if you have, what is it good or bad? We're not looking for, like, deep analysis, just your gut reaction.
All
Ready?
Right. Yep.
We got 42 of these motherfuckers, so we're gonna go fast.
Jesus fucking Christ! All right.
Number 1, Maximum Overdrive, 1986.
Haven't seen it.
I have seen it. Movie sucks. Number 41, The Mangler, 1995.
Haven't seen it.
Neither have I. Graveyard Shift, 1990.
Haven't seen it. Heard about it. Heard it's okay.
I have seen it. It's real bad.
Okay.
That's some schlocky ass shit.
Right yeah, no, actually that one was bad. Isn't the Graveyard Shift about the one with the newspaper thing?
Newspaper? We're moving on.
Okay.
Number 39, Riding the Bullet, 2004.
Haven't seen it.
Me neither. Sleepwalkers, 1992.
Haven't seen it.
I have seen it. Not good. Silver Bullet, 1985.
Haven't seen it.
Werewolf movie, also not good. Cell, 2016.
Isn't that the one with Jennifer Lopez?
Actually, I think that one has Samuel L. Jackson.
Haven't seen it.
It's like, oh, well, in that case, no. It's got John Cusack in that movie. Oh, I should watch this movie, but I haven't seen it. Dolan's Cadillac.
Haven't seen it. Have never heard of it.
Yeah, hard pass on that one. Cat's Eye, 1985.
Haven't seen it, I think.
I mean, it's got Drew Barrymore, James Woods. Can't go wrong with James Woods.
You definitely can.
Needful Things, 1993.
Nope.
Creepshow 2, 1987.
Seen it. It wasn't that good.
Correct. The original's great, though.
Yeah.
The Night Flyer, 1997.
Heard about it. Think I've seen parts of it, but I haven't really seen it through. So, no.
Yeah, not great. Firestarter, 1984.
Seen it. It's all right.
Dreamcatcher, 2003.
That one I've seen. It's pretty good. I like it.
Okay. The Dark Tower, 2017.
Never seen it.
I've heard that it's not very good.
Same.
Pet Cemetery, 1989.
1989. Seen it. Liked it.
The Dark Half, 1993.
Nope.
Thinner, 1996.
Seen it. Love it.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Thinner. I love Thinner.
I actually don't think I've ever seen this movie.
What?
I don't think so. Nope, I
Dude,
definitely have never seen it.
You definitely need to see that movie. I might put that in the fucking list.
All right, I'll check that out. A Good Marriage, 2014.
Nope.
Good Marriage. No, definitely never seen that. No Smoking, 2007.
Hell no. What the fuck?
Cujo,
weird,
1983.
Heard about it. Haven't seen it. But probably terrible from what
Yeah.
the clips that I've seen.
Not super great. Hearts in Atlantis, 2001.
No.
Carrie, 2013.
Seen it. It's alright.
Yeah, the remake is not the best.
Remake, no.
Chapter 2.
I actually like both of the It's. So I'll take that. Yeah, that's a good one.
I didn't like the second one nearly as much as the first one, mostly because of how much
fair.
it deviates from the source material. But it's not terrible. Secret Window, 2004.
Heard about it. Haven't seen it through.
I love this movie. Pet Cemetery, 2019.
I liked the movie up until the ending.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Children of the Corn, 1984.
Nope.
Christine, 1983.
No.
The Green Mile, 1999.
The Green Mile is a great movie that I have never seen.
Oh yeah, it's a phenomenal movie. You should watch that. Apt Pupil, 1998.
Never heard of it.
This movie's fucking awesome. You should watch that one. It's about this kid who finds out that one of his neighbors is a Nazi in hiding, and they kidnapped hobos off the street and do like weird Nazi experiments on them and shit. It's real fucked up. It's a good movie.
That sounds awesome. I would love to watch that.
Yeah. The Mist, 2007.
Great fucking movie, especially since the movie deviated from the ending that he wanted. Basically, the movie's ending was so good, Stephen King publicly said, I wish I would have thought of that ending. The fact that they made a TV series about it, though, fucking awful.
Yeah. Dolores Claiborne, 1995.
Never heard of it.
The Running Man, 1987.
Is that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Fuck yeah, it is.
I love that because that's cheesy good time.
Hell yeah, dude. This is for my money possibly the best Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah.
1408.
Haven't seen it, want to see it. Wait, is that the one about in the hotel room with Samuel L. Jackson?
Yes.
Yes, I have seen it, forgot about it, but I remember it being good.
So this is what I'll say about 1408. Fuck that movie. It, 2017.
Love it.
Yeah, that movie's fucking awesome. Stand By Me, 1986.
I didn't see it fully through.
Oh, you gotta watch it, dude. Young Will Wheaton. This movie's fucking awesome.
Okay.
Probably the second best Stephen King movie. Creepshow, 1982.
Love it.
Yeah, Creepshow's great. Misery, 1990.
Love it.
So this is what I'm gonna say about Misery.
Okay.
I think that especially the one moment in this movie is much better than the movie as a whole.
Yes, I can agree with that sentiment, but it's still a good movie, especially like since it centers around two amazing actors, an actor and actress, and
Yeah,
it was a really great. They played really well off of each other, especially given the dynamic.
I agree with that. I think that overall it's an okay movie, but it's certainly not like one of the best.
Yeah,
Shawshank Redemption, 1994.
masterpiece.
Yes, absolutely. The Dead Zone, 1983.
That's the one with Kevin Bacon.
That,
Uh,
my friend, is the one with Martin Sheen.
oh, I remember reading the synopsis. I've seen parts of it, but I haven't seen it fully through.
Yeah, that movie is that's a movie.
Terrible.
Carrie, 1976.
Great.
And The Shining, 1980.
It's good.
And actually, this list is missing Doctor Sleep.
That's fine. Love that movie.
And The Shining is a masterpiece. I take it back. The Shining is easily the best movie ever adapted from one of his
Yeah, that's
books.
fine. So
Although it deviates completely from the book, so that's
yeah.
worth noting.
So to your credit and to your exercise, it proves not to me. It proves that not Stephen King's writing is terrible, but more the people who are chosen to adapt it didn't understand it. But again, I can't really speak to that because I haven't read actually any of his books. I've probably read summations of the stories, um, brief overlays and synopses, which is most of the way that I ingest a lot of like background media. But again, I can't speak to it. But if you're saying that with over 50 movies, adaptations of his work, and probably not even, I'm going to say like 15-20% of them are good. Yes, because you can make the argument that if his writing was good enough, the adaptations would be good as well. Or at least more of them would be good instead of just complete dog shit like we just went over. So I get what you're trying to say.
I mean, I think it's worth noting that the way Stephen King's writing, his structure, and his acumen as a literary artist is almost unparalleled. The
Yeah,
man the man puts words to a page, and
basically shit's gold.
I'm going to take this from somebody. I heard this from somebody. I think it was like the Nostalgia Critic or somebody was talking about Stephen King, and basically it's saying like from a technical perspective, Stephen King is an absolute master of his craft, but his actual stories suck.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the stories that he comes up with, and we were making fun of it a couple of weeks ago when with the whole killer lampshade from Family
Oh
Guy.
yeah.
And it's funny because like that's some shit that I could imagine him doing, but I know that if he did do it, he would do it in such a way that people eat that shit up
Yep.
because his words on the page are beautiful. They are masterful, and he is second to almost nobody. That's why he was the father of my second favorite horror novelist of all time, Joe Hill, in case you're wondering. And I mean, like, I can't deny how great he is, but
Mm-hmm.
this is the stuff you're shitting out, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think he has a thing where like he writes X amount of pages every day. And I'm like, at some point, you gotta stop. Like,
You got to take
clearly.
some time and like go over it and fine tune it, flesh it out a little bit. I get what you're saying.
I mean, he kind of strikes me as having that like George Lucas on the prequels thing where like nobody tells him no.
Yeah.
Like at some point, somebody's just gotta be like, my guy, please
It's
stop.
basically like Tyler Perry and Seth MacFarlane when it comes to certain networks, where they just literally like I'm going to pitch this show. They're going to say yes. Even if it's a bad idea, they're going to say yes.
So I double checked. He likes to write 10 pages a day. I'm
That's
like, he said he went on record to say the first draft of a book should take no more than 3 months. I'm like, no more than 3 months ever? Are you sure?
that's what I mean. Like, so I had this conversation with my brother the other day, and I noticed like a lot of the pop culture sensations when it comes to visual media are coming from the East, like Korea, Japan, China, like those places. And I noticed it when I was talking to him, and I was like, it's pretty wild. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. And it's like, is it because like people in America are so like desensitized and like they don't branch out enough, or they don't do enough research, or they're not introduced to many different cultures, or even embroiled in their own culture heavily enough to make good stories? Because like, dude, like shit coming out of Japan and Korea is fucking fire right now. Like Squid Games, it like was only made for 21 million and generated 900 million in revenue out of nowhere. Nobody thought that was gonna happen. I just watched Parasite the other night. Finally,
Oh, what'd you
fucking
think?
amazing. It was amazing. It was really good, and I I love watching shows and movies where I don't know where it's going,
Mm-hmm.
but I understand how it got there.
Yeah.
Even if it's hella surprising, I still understand how it got there. And then the ending was amazing because the way that they ended Parasite, it was like it wasn't actually that wasn't the finite ending. It was what he envisioned that he wanted to do. And then it jumps back to him like writing a letter. And I was just like, that was heartbreaking and masterful. You know what I mean? And like again, that's coming from the East. Like a lot of the shit that's coming out of North American, like American writers, is mostly rehash shit, remakes, to get nostalgia points. Like they finally tapped the comic book market, and Marvel seems to be doing has a great recipe and is making money off of it. But that's still far and in between from everything else that's coming out. Like I'm not gonna say like everything coming out of North America or the West is terrible, but compared to the mountains of content that's coming from the East, that a lot of American and North American writers are basically basing their ideas off of, like
I don't know,
speaks
man.
it
I think
speaks
that's a
volumes.
stretch.
It's not like
I
I would
think I think that like the East is finally getting their
the
due in the
recognition.
West, and they're getting recognition. So maybe it seems like they're killing it more than we are right now. But I mean, like, really think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before Squid Game, which Squid Game's kind of dead already. Like it's debatable whether or not that's even relevant, and it's only been out for like 2 weeks. But Parasite is like a movie for nerds. Like you and me will watch a movie like that and we'll enjoy it. The general populace not. Most people have never even heard of that movie. I mean, maybe they have because I think it won like Best Picture and shit.
Yes, it did.
But most people don't watch the movies that win Best Picture. Most people can't even tell you what won Best Picture for the last 5 years. I
True.
love film, and I couldn't tell you what won for the last 5 years. But my point is this, like, when you think back over the last several years, the biggest, most defining shit still came from the West. I mean, like, you think about it, like, what's the biggest shit in Hollywood has been for a long time? Marvel movies. What about before that? Game of Thrones. Like, these are Western IP. I mean, I'm not trying to diminish what comes out of the East. I'm just saying, like, I've heard that argument for a little while now that the East is like showing us how it's done. And I don't necessarily think that that's true. Just like I definitely don't agree that everything coming out of the West is derivative.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shit that you see coming out of the West, like the Marvel movies are just coming out as fast and fancy free. Like, yeah, you see that all the time, but that's not the only shit coming out.
True.
There's tons of movies coming out all the time that people never see that are phenomenal. So like it's just a matter of like what Hollywood is really jamming in your face
Mm-hmm.
versus what all is there. And I mean, this shit coming out of the East, generally speaking, is not getting crammed down your throat. So you'd have to be looking for that, generally speaking, to find it. But if you really take a look at the other way and look at what's really coming out over here, you're going to find the same quality shit. Possibly even more of it because there's just, frankly, just more filmmakers over here doing their thing. Lots of people will come from all over the globe to come over to America to make films and shit like that. Like it's just that's just how things go. So all of that was just a really long-winded way of saying that like I think the West is doing a phenomenal job too, and a lot of Western filmmakers don't get nearly enough credit because they're overshadowed by I mean frankly
The big
Disney.
names. Yeah,
Like
the big names.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
you.
like the big studios, but really Disney at this point.
It's Disney right now, and then like when the big names decide to put something out, like Tarantino,
Yeah. But
Spielberg,
But I mean, Tarantino's a
Cameron.
great example of somebody who's fucking killing it at the game, bro. Like he
Yeah,
puts out completely original stuff every single time, and people flock to it because they know Tarantino's going to kill it.
yeah,
Like
I
Tarantino's
agree
a
with you on
great
that.
example of somebody in the West who's doing their own thing and just fucking killing it every single time.
Yeah, I think it's more of what you said is that the East is finally getting the recognition in the West that it's rightly deserved because as you know, I've been ingesting like Eastern side media for years and years. Probably no name titles that a lot of people haven't read or watched, like when it comes to anime, manga, manhwa. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, I feel like that. I think it's just more prevalent to me because I'm on the active eye looking out for that. And like in the West, like most of it is just like, it's okay.
Anyway, that was an exceptional tangent.
Yeah.
But I do think it's worth noting that all of that is to say that we are in probably the greatest era for consumable content that's ever
Oh
existed.
my God. Yeah.
And
It's to the level to where I can't keep up. And that's saying something.
that's saying some shit.
That's saying some fucking shit. To anybody who has listened over the past couple years that we've been doing this, like in a week, I can probably consume like 3 to 4 full series of nearly anything that you can name with movies in between.
Yeah, it's people like to wax nostalgic for things in the past. I mean, I'm no exception to that. I think for me personally, the 80s is like the greatest decade for music and movies and things of that nature. But like, I can't deny the shit that's coming out right now is fucking incredible. But I
Yeah,
can't keep up with everything, so it's hard to like.
it's hard to pick and choose.
But all that being said, when you look at a movie like Children of the Corn through the lens of 2021, this movie's just not good.
It's not. And like again, it's a great concept. It's an
Yes.
amazing concept. Like if you think about it. Like just children murdering their parents, like no adult is ready for that.
Right.
Even if they're not your child, no adult's going to be like, "Oh, look at the cute little girl. Oh, and she's got a butcher knife." It's like
Slash the Achilles. God damn
exactly.
it.
Like it's a great concept. They just executed it poorly, and it makes me sad to say that. But again, it was made in 1984. Like they're more of like going for the shock value, so they basically did like the bare minimum that they could to reach R. Like, I don't even think this movie deserved an R rating, but that might be because I'm from the 1980s on up, and I'm desensitized to some sets of violence, whatever. But still, like it was bad, real bad.
Here's the thing. I think for the most part, Children of the Corn did what it needed to.
Mm-hmm.
For the time, it left a mark. People took notice. It started a franchise. And it was okay for the time.
Uh-huh.
However,
Yeah.
let me tell you a couple of movies that came out in 1984.
Please do.
So there was this little movie called Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which
All
you
right.
may or may not have ever heard of.
Yeah.
But it was the first major release from a little studio that you've probably heard of called Ghibli.
Oh, Ghibli?
There was also a little movie called The Ewok Adventure.
You're this close to me just getting up and leaving.
That was just for you.
Fuck you.
No, but on the real, we also got movies like The Last Starfighter, Police Academy,
Fuck yes.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom,
Amazing.
Once Upon a Time in America,
Okay.
Conan the Destroyer,
Oh, that's my shit.
16 Candles,
Never watched it. Not gonna watch it ever.
Terminator,
Yes, sir.
The Karate Kid,
Yes, sir.
Ghostbusters,
Fuck yeah.
and my personal favorite, Gremlins.
Oh man, that's a heavy list of bangers right there.
And that's just some of the top movies. Like, there's so many more. 1984 was a fucking year.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like that they weren't handicapped by anything, is what I'm trying to say, and what I feel like you're trying to say.
Yeah, really what I'm saying is, despite the fact that I want to give this movie credit for doing what it needed to do, this movie, even through the lens of 1984, is not very good. So
could have done better, boy.
Let me do this. Let's try horror movies released in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we get. God damn it! That doesn't even work. We got Friday the 13th Part 4.
Fuck.
Which, that movie's not good, but if you're just looking for some slasher goodness, I mean, that's the best one. For sure. We got Gremlins, which I noted before.
Yep.
We got The Toxic Avenger, which is one of those movies so fucking bad it's good. We, of course, got Children of the Corn, but we also got this little movie that started a franchise you might have heard of called A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, fuck.
And I'm like, God damn it, dude. Even if you only look at it through the lens of horror movies, in that year, it didn't succeed. John, with all of that context, what do you give this movie for its final rating?
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna give this movie 3 He Wants You To, Malachi out of 10. Like, honestly, the best part of the whole movie was when Bert was bitch slapping the shit out of Malachi with his really left hand. It was the best.
Man, like, he fucked that little bitch up.
Oh my god. I'm surprised they didn't just start crying. It's like, oh god, the kid's crying. Keep rolling. This is gold.
Keep rolling. Keep rolling. No. I'm gonna give this movie a solid 1984 out of 2021, which comes to 37 out of 100.
The fact that I know you just sat there and did the math on this shit like way prior, just preparing for this moment.
I come prepared.
Fucking shit.
Which I have to say is better than the remake, which
I mean,
got
that's
a
a low fucking bar.
solid 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That is a low fucking bar.
Or Children of the Corn 6, also known as Children of the Corn 666. 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
They're really trying to stretch it with that one.
I'm actually intrigued to see where this franchise goes and how they thought it was acceptable to keep making movies.
Dude.
Like,
Because it doesn't seem like they're generating money, right?
Here's my question. I have to compare this to another franchise that's infamously bad. You may know where I'm going with this.
I have an idea.
Let's see. Pull up the Leprechaun franchise.
Fuck, I knew it!
Dude, they're so much better! Oh no!
Like, Leprechaun is some good, bad fun. It's
oh
some good,
my
bad
god.
fun. It's like, I don't know if you've seen it, but the Wishmaster, but with
yes,
Dionne Warwick. It's just
what is
masterful.
Oh, you know what we should have done?
Hmm.
Should have done Pumpkinhead, man. Now that's a fucking movie. 1988.
So I didn't want to tell you, but that's actually in the list. That's the only time I'm going to do that. That's actually in the list in the spook generator.
Speaking of the spook generator, let's generate up some spook. I need to know what's coming next week.
And boom!
Generate some spook.
All right. See if you get it off the quick summary. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to a small town of Haydenfield, Illinois to kill again.
Bro, you know I don't need to take a wild stab at Halloween. I don't know how I feel about that choice. Because I know some of the things that I put into the spook generator. I don't know what you put in the spook generator.
Which makes it even better.
And of the 3 weeks that we've done, we've gotten 2 of my movies. 1 movie that I knew that was in there from your side. So I'm actually like devilishly curious what the fuck else is in there.
Dude, like it's pulling out all of your movies to where it's going to get it's going to get some interesting shit. Like this is why I don't want to tell you what's in it, cuz like you'll be surprised about like what comes next.
All right, well next week we're going to watch the original 1978 Halloween. Critic score of 96%. It can only be good. Spoiler, it definitely is. John, have you seen the original Halloween before all the way through?
Yes, but it was a long time ago. That's why I like going over these movies like that, because like it just rehashes old feelings and like basically gives me a fresh lens to look at stuff that I've watched before. Oh, and for anybody wondering, this is what I'm drinking. It's tangerine wheat ale, fucking delicious.
I had that one before. It's beer. Pretty good.
Yeah. Way better than if you want to sip on Budweiser. Reasonable price for a 6-pack. And it's not piss water. It's just good if you want to just chill.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go take one of the pumpkin beers that I have left down in the fridge and relax for the rest of the night. So until next week, have fun out there, guys. Enjoy Spooktober. And man, next week is gonna be a week. Bye-bye.